Second reading from James today speaks about the wars and conflicts among us. And it's not just, the petty wars and conflicts among us, but the words literally are wars and battles. So, battles, wars in the largest possible sense as well, which are no less petty, but a lot more destructive. And it says, where do they come from? Very often when I watch a documentary on whatever war, or even movies about wars and depicting battles, I notice the surroundings, if they haven't been totally bombarded and destroyed. If it's out on a jungle or a mountain or a field, and usually the sun shining and clouds, and I say, why can't they see this? What are we doing? Killing each other when we're surrounded by this magnificent mystery of creation of which we're a part. Why don't you just stop firing your guns and stay there and watch? See how magnificent the world is. How magnificent we are. You just have to develop, which obviously very few people have and ever have, develop a contemplative approach to life. To be quiet and see, gaze, look, open yourself. Now, of course, we have to be freed of all, these passions that St. James is talking about. Even to do that, where does the chicken and the egg? How do you start here? But what happens if we do? If we do manage to be quiet and gaze? Well, what all the mystics of all the traditions of all time have said, and we can verify it for ourselves anytime we want, is that there's connection. We connect to a presence, to an energy of life, to joy, to a whole current of connection and life and love and joy. That's what's there. If we go just a little bit deep, we're connected to whoever is there in front of us or whatever is there in front of us, an animal, a flower, a tree, anything, anyone. If you go beyond the surface, not too far beyond the surface, and it includes the surface, then we know how valuable and beautiful everything and everyone is, including ourselves. And we put our identity and our joy and our whole being into just being that. Wow! I'm magnificent. Everything is magnificent. I'm connected. How wonderful. Love and compassion and service of one another. That's the joy. Just like the Lord is at the service of creation constantly, every second from the beginning of time. I like to call it, we're talking about the different variants now, the Delta variant, the Mu variant of COVID. Well, I want to call this the Epsilon variant. What do I mean? Epsilon, well, that's the fifth letter of the Greek alphabet. And the three things that James uses here to describe what it's like when we're really wise and really connected, they all begin in the Greek with epsilon. So he says, peaceable, erinike, peaceable. If you're connected to everything in this magnificent current of life, well, that is peace. That is literally peace. So it's peaceable. Gentle, epiekes. It's actually a word in canon law, epikaio, which means whatever we've said about all these laws, whenever a situation arises that calls for something else, you adapt to it. It means basically adaptability. A gracious adaptability to reality. Well, yeah. if you're connected to everything in a beautiful way, well, you graciously adapt to reality without any resistance. You follow the current and the revelation of reality as it presents itself in such beauty and magnificence to you and in you and for you. And then the third epsilon here, it's translated here compliant. It literally means eupathis, which means you're easily persuaded. That is to say, if reality comes to you with this visage and with this wonder and energy, you easily let it in. So, can we practice being peaceable and gentle and compliant? It's not an effort. It's the most natural thing in the world when you're connected this way. The fruit of righteousness is sown in peace for those who cultivate peace. Of course, righteousness flows from this. And as it says too, the fruit of good deeds, we're full of mercy and good fruits. Of course, full of mercy and good fruits. We're receiving all this positive energy and we're spreading it around us. So you see what I'm saying? When we don't behave this way, it's because we're not connected. So, for example, in the gospel, when the disciples, how pathetic but how human it is, they're arguing about, I'm the greatest. No, I'm the greatest. No, I'm the greatest. Oh my God. I mean, it's pathetic, but it's so common. I mean, do we not see it in ourselves very often? I'm better than he or she's better. Why? Why do we even have to ask that question? It's because we're not connected. We haven't perceived the beauty and magnificence of ourselves and all people. We don't have to be in competition with anything. We're connected in one sharing of divine life and love, so we don't have to compete. We don't even want to compete. We're all wonderful. And we want to be at the service of one another. So that's what Jesus says, kind of bashing them over the head with this, saying, if you want to be the first, be the last. In other words, don't try to be anything at all. And if I phrase it this way, if you try not to be anything at all, that's plenty. Because in being nothing in particular, you're absolutely everything because you're connected to everything and you're letting everything flow freely through you and to you because you're not putting up any obstacles, any resistances, any conditions. Being empty, as the Taoists say, just be the empty cup, be the emptiness. Or the Buddhists say that too, but it's the same thing as being humble and, open to the Lord. The empty cup can be filled. You don't have to fill it. How do I fill my empty cup? It's being filled. What do you have to go to war for? To get this or that? Get more territory? Get more riches? Be in competition with somebody to defend myself and get ahead and be better? What's wrong with you? You have everything. What more do you want? When you already have everything. When you are everything. Wake up! That's basically what Jesus is trying to get us to see here. What all the great traditions are trying to get us to see. And yes, be the servant of all, because of course everything is your servant, God is your servant, so you want to let the flow continue and be at everybody else's service, and that's the joy of life. Not competition, but service. Not hard to discover that if you just let it happen. That's why, James goes on to explain, you don't get what you ask for because you're trying to fill up your cup, with all the selfish desires and all. It's just, it's stupid is what it is. Totally counterproductive. Insane. But most of us do it all the time anyway. Trying to do the same things that don't make us happy. How many centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries of wars is it going to take before we realize how ridiculous it is? So, be quiet. Look. Gaze. Connect. Discover real happiness, real life, real love. And then the gospel won't be hard at all. It'll make perfect sense. It'll be obvious. Even though it seems so counterintuitive when you hear it, be the last if you want to be first. Well, yeah. And everything else will just seem ridiculous and insane. So, choose. Which do you want?